Alright, question 45 says the sequence below shows the total number of days Francisco had used his gym membership at the end of weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. Assuming the pattern continued, which function could be used to find the total number of days Francisco had used his gym membership at the end of week N? Alright, so we're trying to predict the number of, using this pattern right here, predict the number of days Francisco had used his membership at the end of week N. Okay, so N represents the week number, how many weeks he's used it. It's the end of the week, and whatever our y value or our function value. In this case, if you notice, they're using function notation. So f of n is the end of that week. All right, or it's basically the number of the week, number of weeks he's been doing it, and f of n is the number of days that he's used his membership, okay, that he's actually been going to the gym. All right, so if we look at this, there is a pretty simple pattern we can pick up on. Every time it looks like the pattern is increasing by 5. That should tell you that this is a linear function. Remember, if it is a constant rate of change, you always add the same number in the pattern. That is a giveaway that you are dealing with a linear function, okay? And whatever number you're adding each time, that's going to turn out to be your slope, all right? So our slope, since we're adding 5 every time, and the reason this works out to be exactly 5 is because we're just adding 1 week at a time. So think about this as these are our f of n values, and these are our n values up here, all right? The weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, and these are the n values. So if we do change in y, which is 5, over the change in x, or in this case n, it's just going up 1 week at a time. 5 over 1 is just 5. So that means I can go ahead and cancel out a and d. D definitely, because that is n squared would be part of a quadratic, and a doesn't have a slope of 5. So we cancel those out. Now, we got to be careful here, because it would be very easy to look at this and say, oh, it's starting off at 4, so I'll just have 5n plus 4. But read very carefully. This says at the end of week 1, f of n has to equal 4. Okay, so f of 1 would have to equal 4. Well, let's see for which of these functions that works out. If I take this one, because it does look like it's starting at 4 here, and I plug in 1, at the end of week 1, we want that to equal 4, but 5 times 1 is 5, and if I add 4 to that, I get 9, which does not equal 4. Okay, I was expecting to get 4, but I didn't with this equation. So let's try equation B. Let's assume that for week 1, we plug in 1, and we have 5 times 1 minus 1. 5 times 1 is 5, and if we take away 1, we get 4. So in this case, that actually does work. Let's just try a week 2 and see. So at the end of week 2, we expected 9 days of membership use. So let's try 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, minus 1 gives me 9. So this is actually going to be the one that works out right here. So if you're not sure how to do this, take these week numbers, plug it into the equations, and see which one matches up. If you plug in 1 here, 1 plus 5 is 6. That doesn't give us the 4 we wanted, so that one didn't work. 1 times 5 is 5, minus 1 is 4, so that would give us the total. We already saw a second ago that this one gives us 9, so that's not what we want. And if you plug in 1 here, you get 1 squared, which is just 1. So if you just go with the first number of weeks, plug it in, you're going to very quickly find your answer, which is B.